I thought you were gonna. It looks like you were gonna fall over. Good lord, man.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I don't fill out this shirt the same way that Henry Cavill does.
No one fills out the shirt like Henry Cavill does. And with
CGI filled out that shirt.
With that, I say welcome to Geeks with Kids, the Geek podcast from a parenting point of view. I'm Eric, and with me, as always, is Matt Moore, Hawk, David, and Shows. How's it going, guys?
Not too shabby. How you doing?
Oh, you know, I watched Justice League again today, so I've seen that movie twice. Since I like this movie. We'll talk about that later. But I started off my day watching Batman v Superman, and then I realized how bad that movie is.
Got your dirty whore mouth.
Oh.
Why did you say that name?
Geek is now following. Awesome. So this week, obviously, as I said, we're going to be talking about Justice League, or Zack Snyder's Justice League, which was released last Thursday. But before we get to that, we do the thing we do every week, and we go to each of my fellow cohorts here, and we ask them what they're liking, what is good. So, Matt Moore, what's good?
You mean, what's my yum? Is that what you meant to ask, Eric?
I didn't say
I need
it.
to ask that? Were you going to ask that?
I didn't say it. But
Damn you, Matt.
Sorry. I've had a lot of caffeine today, and I woke up and chose violence, so we're good to go. I started talking about this earlier before we came on the air, phrasing. The new season of that devil game Fortnite has been released, and it is a doozy, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Been seeing a few of the ads.
Oh, it's messy and chaotic and ridiculous. Every weapon is now makeshift, so you can actually craft and upgrade the weapons in your own inventory. You find items around the map and you can upgrade your own weapons, and you can go the mechanical path or the primal path, and they do different things depending on which way you go with it.
Mechanical and primal? That's interesting.
Yeah. Primal hits more frequently but does less damage. Mechanical is like the stuff you had in the game normally. So it hits heavier but has less ammo, so you have to reload more often. It balances pretty nicely. They've also introduced a bow and arrow in the game, which is dope. Mostly because in the battle pass, Lara Croft is the first character you unlock.
Woo!
Nice. Well, it would have been pretty bad if they just introduced bows or just arrows. They had to do that, right?
That'd been cool. Could have been like a Hawkeye with his just his bow hitting people.
There's hints that they may be bringing him in later on with as the season goes on, because it's still the season launched last week, so it's still new.
How long does the season usually last?
A month or so usually.
Wow.
A couple months. Actually, it's a couple months because the last one started, back in winter, like November, December.
Well, isn't he he's coming to the Avengers game, so I assume that maybe they'll cross promote that way.
I mean, I hope so, because I doubt anyone's going to play the Avengers game.
Nope.
Never again.
I can't wait.
Never again.
I can't wait till I get it for free on PSN one day, just so I can play through the rest of the Kamala Khan story.
Yeah.
Does Ubisoft give away their games on PSN ever?
Yeah, they do. They're not Ubisoft. They're Square Enix, aren't they?
Yeah, they were Square.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why I thought it was.
Yeah.
Square only does it when they've had a game tank so much they just need people to try to pick it up to get DLC.
That's not true. They released the Tomb Raider game just like last month or 2 months ago.
That's also because the 25th anniversary is, if it has not already happened.
It was last year.
No, Tomb Raider 25th is this year.
Is it this year? God, I can't remember.
It is.
Oh, I was thinking of the 20th. Oh my God, it's been such a long time.
That's why Lara Croft is in the season, because you unlock the 25th anniversary skin, the original. It's a whole big cross promotion with Tomb Raider, which is awesome. So I've been playing a bunch of that. Is the short answer.
Skate said, "Hey, I'd be willing to pay maybe $10 for it,"
which would be a mistake, as we all know.
For Avengers, that would be about the right price.
You couldn't pay me to play that game at this point.
If they can make it more like, I can't believe I'm saying this. If they can make Iron Man feel more like Anthem,
I was about to say that game is basically the Anthem of branded action RPGs.
But without having the action of Anthem?
Or the RPG factor of it.
There's no RPG. Oh, I'm so confused by this game.
Yeah.
There's some new DLC coming out for it, right? I saw that they're introducing the Harm Room.
Yeah, they've got the Harm Room, they've got Hawkeye. The Spider-Man, I think, still is due to launch because they put that back a year more than they should have. It's like, for everything the game promised, most people beat it within the first month of release, and they've been waiting for something new to get released for it every month, and it just hasn't. So they're like, okay, cool, we don't care about the game.
Sounds like
they actually, yeah.
Sounds like the end of Destiny 1's lifespan. Skaith also wrote, "It's very pretty, and Thor gameplay was all right. Those are the only compliments I can offer."
The Thor gameplay was actually really cool, and it's a pain. It sucks because you get Thor so late in the game.
Oh, really?
Like you get him near the end of the game.
Lame.
Because he's insanely OP in the game. Like, it's ridiculous how overpowered he is compared to every other character you have to play up to that point.
I think this is a good segue to move on to what's good for me, because I've been playing 2 fighting games because they were on sale on the PlayStation Network. It's Mortal Kombat 11 and Injustice 2. So I finally got to play Injustice 2. It's been years, and you know what? I feel like DC always has good games. Like, I feel like most of their games are good, and Injustice is good. Their Batman games are good.
I mean, I like the Batman Begins game on PS2, which was actually a lot of the
was a
Arkham
good
games, but people didn't realize how good it was.
I like Batman Beyond in
I think
general.
you might be right.
It's jumping ahead, but you've been playing Injustice 2. You mean the Snyder Cut game?
Yeah, definitely the Snyder Cut game.
I mean, if they actually made an Injustice movie, it'd be pretty good.
And I think what's his name? Who's the guy who wrote in Ed
Boon?
Ed Boon tweeted. He's like, "Hey, Injustice, yeah." And I thought that was great. But yeah, Injustice is a great game. I like their story. I think it's compelling. Mortal Kombat 11 is the game that made me realize I'm bad at fighting games still. But it's fun. And man, my old hands, I just can't do it anymore. I just can't get those combos.
Are we just not doing phrasing anymore?
No, I said it, and everything's so like my hands, my fingers. No, it's also weird is the I don't know if you guys have played a fighting game on the PS5 controller, but the
Does
buttons.
anyone else here have a PS5?
No.
Yeah, there's like
I got one.
yeah, there's 3 of
okay.
us. The buttons are slippery, right? Because they like that weird plastic. Yeah, so they're not like the old like PlayStation.
Can
4
you use a
or 3
PS4
one.
controller on the PS5?
Only for PS4 games, but the Injustice is a PS4 game, so I could do it there. But Mortal Kombat 11 is PS5 now.
I mean, I would argue that having the buttons be a little slipperier would actually make like combo mashing a little easier.
I find it harder
to actually press. Really? Okay.
I think it's because I slide more now, and it's just not as like concise as
right. Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I've been liking. That's
Old
my yum.
slippery hands. That's
Old slippery
call
hands
you.
is what we
They
live.
Old slippery hands, Eric.
Long hands, don't they?
I gotta change my PSN name to Long Slippery Hands. Anyway, Huck, what are you liking now? What's your yum?
What's my yum? My yum.
Your yum.
yum.
Yum,
The
yum,
IT
yum.
powered it. You can't even affect me with it anymore. I'm dying inside right now, just so you know.
It's a new era.
Inside, outside, it's the same. It's the same old day.
Same basic thing.
So most of the stuff I'm yumming on, we're going to be talking about later in the episode. Anyways, I finished Warrior, so that's done.
Oh my God, it's such a good show.
it's
Everyone
so
watch
good.
Warrior.
Please
So good.
save Warrior. Season
HBO
3.
Max. Come on, just pick it up. Just pick it
You
up.
Cannot leave it like that. There's so much more to tell.
2 of the main characters. One is playing Sub-Zero in the next movie, and the other one's playing Storm Shadow in the G.I. Joe movie. Like, goddamn.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Oh,
Sorry.
there's
Yeah,
no-
goddamn.
so- I mean, like, the work they put in on that show and those fight scenes is incredible. So yeah, I haven't been really into too much in that. So I guess I'll probably give a shout out to Destiny. That
Don't do
back
that.
on that.
Don't do it.
Slowly, almost at 1300 light.
Almost
level.
at 1300. We're almost there, Hawk. So
Good
close.
lord.
It's a good thing Blizzard and Activision games
Yes.
don't say how many hours you've put into them like they do on Steam.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
If you're at almost 1300 levels, I think we can kind of extrapolate of roughly how long you've been playing the game.
Yeah. Tomorrow's a big change, apparently, in that.
Why?
Stasis is getting nerfed, Eric.
Fuck.
For those who don't know, Stasis is the new elemental category that they put in for fighting and that, and like it has just been the bane of Crucible.
Are you you're 1975, not 1978, right? On your PlayStation?
75. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what, Hawk? I'm checking up how much time you wasted in Destiny.
Oh no. Oh.
And in Destiny 2, you have spent 732 hours and 12 minutes. And
That's not bad.
and
Wow.
on
That's not a lot.
and on Destiny 1, 910 hours and 47 minutes.
Oh,
That's
my
amazing.
God.
I remember almost a decade ago, I had a friend who had over 1,000 hours in Borderlands 2. Back then,
I can believe it.
Yeah, Borderlands 2 was a
The
big
Borderlands
time
2, I
suck.
can believe that.
Oh yeah,
I'm
I had hundreds and hundreds of hours in Diablo, various forms of Diablo.
Whereas me,
Yeah.
my
Oh,
Destiny
Lord.
2 hours aren't even loading. It's
Yeah,
just
they,
like
they
a-
need
it's
they
just
need a
a-
supercomputer to figure it out.
I think
Mine's-
you can measure my
mine-
Destiny 2 time in seconds.
Mine's not bad. Mine's
Yeah.
only 635 hours.
I remember Dave
Uh,
tapped out pretty early in that
Yeah,
game.
and my Destiny 1 is 820 hours.
I don't
Amateur.
get that. Like, Destiny 1 was like basically 2 years,
Yeah, you stopped before me, or I stopped before
right.
you.
right? D2's been out for this is his 5th year.
We spent a year off of it. Remember?
That's true. I did spend an entire
Has it
year
been?
off.
I feel like a Destiny 2 hasn't been 5 years already, has it?
It was on PS.
No, it can't have been.
It's been 3 years since Justice League came out. Actually, almost 4. 2017.
20.
Yeah,
when-
time is
so it's
flying
just
by
coming
much
up on-
quicker than you
it's
think.
coming
You,
up
you
on
forget
40.
we just had a whole year that doesn't count,
Mm,
right?
blip-
Like a
a blip,
whole
yeah.
year.
A blip, if you will.
mm.
Skate just said, pretty sure I beat both of those combined in PSO2. What's PSO2?
Fantasy Star Online 2.
Oh God,
Oh, yeah. That's
Skates
right.
is a
that
friend
makes
of mine.
sense.
Yeah.
Nice. Welcome to the show. Hockey, you done with your what's good?
I am.
I can't believe you went. You should have went with what was it? Forsaken from the Ashes. That should have been your
You're
although
talking
we haven't
about
played
Remnant
them
from the
all.
Ashes,
Remnant,
which is a
Remnant
very
from
good
the
game.
Ashes. My
Remnant.
bad.
Yeah,
For-
yeah.
what's
yeah.
for
That's
Second.
who I beat it with Scaife. That's who I played that game with.
Ooh,
Yeah.
one day I'll beat it. All right, we're gonna move over to shows. The Superman
Yeah.
himself. What are you liking right now?
Well, you know, when I'm not saving the world. So yeah, me and my girlfriend have gotten into this, watching Dollhouse again. I don't know if you guys
Nice.
were fans of Dollhouse when it came out a couple of years back.
I was.
I was as well.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it too. I remember when that came out, like, because I'm a huge Elijah Dushku fan, and
Duck shoot.
and I think that that show, I feel like it didn't get like enough time. Like obviously with most Fox shows, they don't get enough time.
It was.
Uh,
It also came out around the time of the writer's strike and all the fallout after that.
Oh,
So,
okay.
So there's a lot of bad times around there.
It only had 27 episodes.
Yeah. I think they just went into the second season, and
The ending of that show is so good.
It was also
Oh, yeah.
it was also a Fox show, so it was the ratings are kind of weird. Bye. Like,
yeah, exactly. But you know, we're having fun watching that. Just something to get back into and explore a little bit, and it's actually quite a good show. Going back into it, so that's
It
kind
also
of what
ti-
I've been up
yeah.
to.
It also ties in
Yeah.
with Justice League tonight because
Yeah,
one of the
Harry
characters,
Lennox.
Harry Lennox,
Yeah.
was on that show and he plays a character in the movie. We'll talk about it later.
Well, he was in Man of Steel. So.
Yes, he
Yeah,
was.
and he was also
and
in
Batman v Superman.
BVS.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in all of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we find out why. David, what are you liking right now?
I don't know,
Sorry.
maybe this
sorry, Hawk, sorry,
background-
Hawk. Sorry, Hawk.
Oh.
Sorry.
I say I remember watching the Dollhouse during its initial run, and that I really struggled to connect with it because I was excited to see like a new Josh Whedon show on TV again after Firefly and that. But
More
I
of an
don't know, that
action
one-
figure man, not so much into dolls. Is that?
I guess not. You know, I don't know. I remember struggling to connect with it, and that I do remember the last 2 episodes. You know, weren't even really aired on network, were they?
They were, but
They
weirdly.
cut
Yeah.
them weird. So I think they took 2 episodes and turned it into 1, but then they extended it. It was a weird
Yeah.
rigmarole with the last
Yeah.
2 episodes, which is what everyone's like, why did you screw this up? It was so simple. But Fox.
It went out strong. So
All right, David. Now, I assume you're liking. I don't know what is that? Blackthorn from
That's
Blizzard.
Diablo.
I know.
I
Just
don't know.
joking.
So this came in 2 Fridays ago now. This is my it's gonna like glitch out of the fucking thing. This is one of the most expensive things I've ever purchased that wasn't a console or computer.
Damn.
That looks amazing.
There's pictures on my Instagram or Twitter or whatever.
Is that bigger than your head?
It's about the same size as my head. Maybe it's bigger than my head.
Damn.
Yeah,
Big
it's-
old bust of Satan.
Dang.
There you go.
What's that saying? He's the Lord of Terror.
Yeah.
Somebody in my
Same thing.
StarCraft clan was like, "That's scary," and I'm like, "Well, it should be scary. He's the Lord of Terror."
If it wasn't, he's not doing his job.
Exactly,
This
exactly.
is pretty. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. Other than that, just more Valheim. And unfortunately, you can't fight this guy in Valheim. Not yet.
Not
God,
yet.
it's so cool.
I've got this guy here who can battle.
Yeah.
I got nothing around. Wait, I have this.
Here
we go.
What my loot crate came in? Where's the Genji?
I love dairy.
I have
That's
a pen.
That's for you, Matt. I love dairy.
That's actually awesome. I kind of want to get one of those. I'm not gonna lie.
What is that, Hawk?
It's clear.
I got a T-Rex that just came in from Meeple Mart. Is that
Pickle Rick.
Pickle Rick. Oh,
Pickle Rick.
my Maple Mart order just shipped, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I
Come
got
here.
Candlekeep Mysteries, and then
I ordered it as well.
some stuff came out on Twitter. So I'm like, I kind of regret buying that book.
Why? What count? What else?
Yeah, I
came
don't
out?
want to. It's a lot to go into.
Okay, that's fine. All right,
But just
let's
go on Twitter and look up some of the authors.
Well-
Some of them aren't very happy.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Let's. Well, normally we'd go into the news, but I think we're going to be talking about Justice League for a long time, at least for a bit. So we're gonna just slowly go into Falcon and Winter Soldier. We don't want to do any spoilers because it came out on Friday, but the internet would tar and feather us because we talk about nerdy things. We got to talk about Winter Soldier, and
We also did stream us.
we did
watching
stream
it
us
on
watching
Friday,
it. That was
as we will
fun.
continue to do for the whole show.
Every Friday. So
And
come
hopefully, I will actually be able to attend those
Yeah.
moving forward when
once
my
the internet
works
fixes.
properly.
Yeah, so the 6 episode event series, I'll say, started last Friday, March 19th, and it's a longer episode, longer than WandaVision. They're 40-ish minutes now, which is nice. It's pretty much, we're gonna get a 6-hour movie in it. Overall thoughts, without going into spoilers, what did you guys think of the episode?
There isn't really anything to spoil in that first episode.
That's fair.
really, which is not a bad thing. It's very
They're setting up the world. Yeah.
It's establishing Sam and Bucky and what they're doing after the Infinity War is done, and just what they've been doing since then. They do a lot of really cool, deep divey character stuff with both of them.
Yeah.
We meet Sam's family for the first time, his extended family, which is awesome. We see what Bucky's been up to. Shenanigans abound. I'm really looking forward to seeing where things go with that show.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it is going to be more, for lack of a better term, Russo-esque, just with the way they're telling the story, and it's very
It's
I was
very
getting a lot of-
Russo.
I mean, that
I was
opening was
getting-
basically the Falcon version of the Winter Soldier opening, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
very much so.
Boats in the sky?
Yeah.
Airboats? Airwolf.
Airboats. I actually did say that opened up like an episode of Airwolf.
Yeah.
It's true.
I
Dun,
got a
dun, dun,
very,
dun.
I'm trying not to pay too much attention to what you guys are saying.
But there's nothing we're saying.
Yeah,
We're
I
not
got a
saying
very
anything.
The Americans vibe for those that watched that show.
Yeah. I like
that kind of a vibe from
I-
it, which is great. I like that.
there's a lot of internet bitching. I'm gonna not air quote that because it's actually just bitching. People are like, it's slow, but it's really setting
It's
up
not.
the
It
world.
opens with a huge action sequence.
So
How is that slow?
But what I love about it is that we're learning about the characters, right? We're learning what they're regular people. They're not always just fighting people.
I love that they actually had Sam actually has a conversation about how superheroes make money.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's
aren't you guys
fascinating.
salary? It's like, no, we rely on the goodwill of people because we save the world.
Donations.
Nowhere have they ever talked about that to any. That's a thing that's never discussed. It's kind of cool. To
I
see.
assume Iron Man also bankrolled them a bit because he did it in the comics, right?
Well, but there is no Iron Man anymore. So how y'all gonna get paid? He's like,
Well, they never got paid. They just got to live somewhere rent free.
Yeah.
And get free
it was
food
like
and
working
money.
at Google. You can just get breakfast. It's
Mhm.
there. It's not.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's it's the never a thing. The day-to-day stuff is never discussed. It was kind of cool to see that.
And then they introduce some new things, which we won't spoil, obviously. But I like that they're introducing characters from the comics, and they're re-envisioning certain things from the comics that are really important to the Falcon / Winter Soldier / Captain America mythos, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the pandemic talking in people and that. It's just so it started out kind of slow in that.
But I
you know,
guarantee
this is Marvel in that. I mean, they did the same thing with Wanda and that. They're not giving away the whole plot in the first episode. In that, you know, just slow. Just like take a breath, slow down, and that you might actually enjoy yourself.
Like it's the exact same argument people had with WandaVision. It's like it's slow. I don't understand it. Yeah, you have to wait a couple weeks and it'll make sense. This one already started off with way more explanation than WandaVision did. And
how did those people get through Game of Thrones?
Yeah. Right?
They probably complained about it.
That's fair.
Or,
That's fair.
Or they were the people that came into it late and were able to binge like the first season and a half and be like, this is awesome because you can watch the whole thing. Like, it's the curse of us being so used to being able to binge watch full seasons. Is that you're used to getting all the explanations out of the gate as opposed to having to watch TV.
Yeah. If it weren't for the podcast, I would have waited for all of WandaVision to come out and then I would have binged it. Because I wouldn't have cared.
OG Silent on Twitch said it was structured to have action every 10 minutes. And it's true. There was action.
Yeah.
That's 4 action sequences.
It's like exactly what it requires.
But 10 minutes? Come on, I wanted it now.
Yeah. It's more of a testament to the
Flash
writers
Buffalo in 40 seconds.
It's more of a testament to the writers and director, the fact they were able to fit as much exposition and whatnot as they could in those like 10-minute windows before there was another action sequence where you actually fit a lot of information there.
And really, we don't really know anything about Falcon or Winter Soldier, even from the movies. So getting to know them is awesome, right? And knowing
it's sort of the point of the show that's called Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Right? Just like we got Wanda and Vision and we got to learn more about them, right? Who knew?
Shnikes, we figured out the method.
I look forward to
How come there isn't more Hulk in this show about not the Hulk?
Oh my god.
I look forward to not knowing about Hawkeye in the Hawkeye film or TV show. I love
But
Hawkeye.
yeah, no, he won't show up until 6 episodes in.
It's true. No. All right. Well, let's move on to the main topic. And everyone take a stretch because this is going to be a thing.
OG Silent asks, can base jumpers go through helicopter doors? I would say very carefully.
Apparently, they use real wingsuit guys in that sequence.
100%. 100% those were like...
When we were watching that, I thought, wouldn't the downforce have some effect? I guess if you're moving fast enough, maybe not.
You'd have to time it really carefully.
Like, that's intense.
If you miss time or misangle it,
but luckily,
that's ending badly.
What superheroes do. So,
right?
Yeah.
Oh my god! I can't.
Does anybody else remember Action Man? Because that was a great cartoon.
Oh, the 90s.
2 people just went, oh, okay, yeah.
I was one of those people. Yeah. All right, let's move on to Justice League. So like we normally do, this is going to be a roundtable discussion. We're not going to try and go through all of the plot points, or at least I don't think I wrote down all the plot points.
Oh, we're not doing a table read?
Well, no, maybe next time. But I feel like if we went point by point throughout this whole movie, it would be longer than the actual movie. So we're not going to do that. We're going to talk
about the original.
Yeah, definitely.
You say round table. What do you think? Like 7 seats?
Oh,
room for more.
Room for more.
Yeah. So we're gonna be touching upon themes and whatnot in the discussion. But before we get into that film, the film, and because I'm curious and I don't know this answer, I might know this from Matt Moore. But growing up, were you guys more a DC or a Marvel fan, or neither? Maybe you were an Image fan, and maybe you came into comics later. Matt Moore, let's start with you.
Marvel. I've always been a big Marvel Universe fan.
Yeah.
DC, I was like, I liked the Gotham universe.
Fair.
But specifically, like the rest of the DC universe, which is weird being a Marvel fan, but I found the DC universe, there was just so much to try to keep track of. And they weren't as good at curating their macro universe as I found Marvel has been in the past.
Agreed. Once they started putting it in eras, it started getting better, but that was like late 80s, early 90s.
It was
still messy then.
Yeah, they were a little bit behind. Like they would kind of take cues from how Marvel would do stuff, and then they would do it and it would work, but it was just always kind of after the fact, and it was just
sort of like the movies. Yeah, but yeah, you were more of a Marvel fan than DC.
Yeah, I've always been like just the Marvel universe I could always get into. I can kind of pick up anything and enjoy it, and DC was very much like the Gotham universe, specifically like the Gotham Rogues Gallery. I've always been a bigger fan of. Fair.
What about you, Hawk, as you're drinking that water?
Definitely more Marvel, because that's the series. You know, that was the ones I always curated, and that mainly X-Men and that, and like all the expansions around.
I feel like all of us were X-Men fans growing up because of the cartoon, which was amazing.
Which is also hilarious
Yeah.
because X-Men was like the least well curated of all the Marvel properties.
It's true.
But there was so much, I
And
like,
there was so much, and Wolverine was always everywhere.
Everywhere. You got to have your favorite Canadian.
Yeah.
All right, David. I'm not going to go to Shouse next because
I was
he has a
this
Superman
close
shirt.
to shouting puck when you said favorite Canadian.
Yeah.
I
got the
like
love
it's
puck.
it's weird because it's like I grew up, not only did I have X-Men, but because I'm younger than you guys, there was an Iron Man cartoon for me, there was
Yep.
the Spider-Man
remember it.
cartoon, there was an
Yep.
Avengers cartoon,
Yep.
and there was a Silver Surfer cartoon, there was a Fantastic Four cartoon. I watched all of that shit.
Yeah.
But then there was also one very good Batman cartoon during all of this.
Two very good Batman cartoons.
I only remember the
You don't remember the
Batman,
animated series?
yeah, Batman Beyond, right, which I own.
And
But
Batman Beyond.
here's how I would mark it. I have 2 Arkham statues over here. I have one in the other room, and I have a Nightwing, and I only have 2 Deadpools. So I guess it's Batman. Like I love Marvel, but I guess it's Batman because
If you only have two Deadpools, are you even a fan?
Oh,
I actually hate them because they're action figures, and I prefer statues or figure. Like
Fair.
I don't like the having the joints and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess I should go with Batman because
that's a good.
I own. That's what I own on Blu-ray and DVD. I don't own any of those cartoons.
Although the Justice League. Wait, no, never mind. I meant the. Anyway.
I mean, I love Justice League. I watched Lois and Clark
Bum,
too.
bum,
Like
bum.
that terrible show.
The
It
new
was
one is
good for
so
the
good.
time. Yeah, at the
The
time
new
it was kind of new. Like the old '90s one was all right for what it was at the time.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What
So,
about
yeah,
you?
I'm gonna have to say
You go
Batman.
DC. All right, Shows. As you wear the Superman shirt, are you gonna say Marvel? Because that would be hilarious.
No, I'm gonna say neither.
Fair.
I'm gonna say neither. When I grew up, I was very much into science fiction. I was Star Trek, Star Wars all the way. A little bit of Ghostbusters, a little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like those were that's where I was as a kid. I didn't get into superhero stuff until the various cinematic universes started.
Perhaps
Probably even
you
just
didn't see
prior
it
to
till you
those.
were a man.
Yeah, like I'm thinking like Tobey Maguire in that first Spider-Man movie was probably my first sort of taste of like this whole superhero and how big that could be on a movie screen. And then after that, I just got hooked. So yeah, I'm gonna
Nice.
say neither when I was a kid, and now I'm huge into Marvel. Obviously, I think that's because that's the strongest cinematic universe. But
100%.
I really like this movie. But we're gonna get into it.
Oh, then
Yeah,
I changed
I
my
will
answer
say-
to The Thing because that was what I watched a lot as a kid.
I'm very much into the John Carpenter.
Yeah,
Nice. The John Carpenter cinematic universe.
that's right.
That would be amazing. Just saying.
There is.
Yeah,
He does.
sort of.
He has 3 Apocalypse movies. Those are his. The Thing. Is it John Carpenter's Vampires and Prince of Darkness? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Those
guess,
that's his cinematic universe.
I love Prince of Darkness.
That's fair. Before I do mine, I'm gonna read Twitch. Skaith wrote,
All of
Marvel's. No, not all of it. That would take forever. Skaith wrote, Marvel has always had more personality, in my opinion. So Marvel has been the favorite, but DC does edgy very well, and I appreciate it for that. That's fair. OG Cylon wrote, back in the day, DC for Teen Titans, Marvel for X-Men. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, for me, I was a big DC fan. Like, I love Marvel as well, obviously. I got into it because of the cartoons. Definitely Spider-Man cartoon and X-Men. But before that, I was always a big Superman fan. So watching Man of Steel and Batman v Superman was very painful for me, being a big Superman fan. But I loved DC growing up. I really liked the idea of Greek mythology when I was growing up, and DC always seemed to be that version of like these are mythical gods that are just among men, gods among men, like the video game.
Oh, it was the Gods and Monsters was always DC's big thing.
And I like that. I like the idea that Marvel was more about parallels to our human life, but I like the mythology type thing from DC. So that's me, and let's move into the movie. Oh, ouch, my neck. So the theatrical version of this film was originally released in 2017, and it was famously completed with the help, air quotes, of Joss Whedon. Many additional scenes were filmed. There's that whole mustache gate thing, and the tone of the overall project was changed. Do you remember seeing the original version, and what did you think of that version after you saw it? Just jump in.
I think the thing is you don't remember after you've seen that movie because it's so forgettable.
That's fair.
I think that's the biggest thing to take from it.
I watched that movie significantly after it came out. I did not have any desire to see it in theaters, and I didn't see it in theaters. I think I saw it on Netflix last year when we were all locked down and I had literally nothing else to do. So I'm like, I will give this a couple hours. I remember the fight scene at the monument. That's about it.
Yep.
That sequence I remember, and that's pretty much all I remember from that movie. The rest of it was it was beige. There was nothing special and significant about it. And for the scope of what they were trying to do and what it should have been, it was just meh.
Yeah.
I just remember the attempts at the comedy that kind of, some of them kind of hit, some of them didn't. Like there's the whole "my man" thing that sort of stayed in my head the whole time from that movie. Like that,
I like that.
But you know,
because that's just Jason Momoa.
Yes.
My man. He said it on Atlantis too.
But I mean I think that's like when we go into this cut and talk a little bit about like some of the idea that Barry Allen was supposed to be the comic relief of this,
like
of
in
this
real
show.
Like in the comics.
Yeah.
God.
And it's almost like, and you guys who know more about the comics than I do, like is he DC's version of Spider-Man, like in terms of the quips?
No, that'd be
and those things?
Nightwing, probably more so.
Yeah.
But close.
Nightwing?
Yeah,
he's definitely the funnier one out of most, at least the Justice League.
Okay.
I feel like Nightwing has gotten very serious over the
He
past.
has, but he was always the one who would quip and stuff like that in the middle of fights.
Quip, yes.
Which
Yes,
is what
you're
Spider-Man
right.
does.
Yeah, yes, you're right. Yeah, that's fair. Hawk, sorry.
Plus, he has the nicest ass in all of the DC.
I agree.
universe.
No. Hawk, yeah, sorry, Hawk.
So I saw it in the theater, unfortunately, and that I don't know why I just ended up going in that, and it was awful. There was only a few action.
The theater or the movie?
The movie,
Oh,
of
okay,
course. That
okay.
the whole tone was just off from that. The bright colors, I just didn't get. I knew what he was going for. They were trying to Avenger it, Marvel up this DC, and it just stuck out like a sore thumb the entire movie.
Yeah, the thing I remember was the comedy being really bad. There were a couple points that I really liked. Like I didn't mind Aquaman sitting on the lasso. I thought that was sort of funny. I like the post credit scene where the Flash races Superman, because that happened in the comics. So I thought it was cool. They made it look like the comic book cover, which I always liked. Like the TV show Flash does that all the time. But overall, it was such a weird like mishmash of things, and we'll get into this later, but I don't like Danny Elfman's score for this movie. I think it's utterly forgettable and just like
I
not good.
literally don't remember it at all.
No.
Yeah,
None of it.
he tried to make a
felt-
theme, but it didn't feel like it.
From what I remember with watching the movies, it felt like they were trying to make it they're trying to take a R-rated movie and make it a family-friendly PG movie.
Yeah.
Like just from everything. So I remember like there was moments where I'm like, that's Joss, Snyder. And you could feel when Joss or the studio,
It was-
kind of equate the two, interjected and changed the trajectory of the story.
Yeah, you could tell Joss's jokes because they're always like after the fact of something happening. You're just like, okay, they tacked that on. Like Batman being like, oh, I broke something, or the booyah that randomly happens at the end. You're just like, oh, god damn it, Joss.
Yeah, that's
But
one
I
of my
mean-
biggest complaints is trying to make Batman jokey and quippy in that, and it's just none of the jokes landed. in that,
Here's
you
the
know?
thing and this is like, I will kind of defend Joss until the end on this, is that he came in as a favor, but he came in as a favor under heavy studio instruction.
Yep.
Like at the end of the day, like you can only blame so much on Joss Whedon, because if they say you have to make this brighter and funnier and more family friendly, he can only do with what he can with what he was given, and what he was given was not a bright family friendly movie.
I will say that I enjoyed when he saturated the colors. I liked the colors of the film. I thought that seeing Superman in actual blue and red was nice.
It felt very comic book, which is aesthetically great, just not a Snyder.
Doesn't it feel weird though to have Joss Whedon come in? Like, because there are certain directors are closers. Like when what is it? Solo, a Star Wars story.
Ron Howard.
Like, oh, these guys left. You bring in Ron Howard. That guy can close the movie out. That guy's a good manager.
I think what they did with
Joss Whedon is that kind of director.
What they did was they saw him. They're like, oh, he did the Avengers. He can totally fix this.
That was just it. They needed to grasp for whoever they knew that had already done a.
But
big
he had time to work on those things. Whereas this movie was like, oh, we finished filming, and we want it to be out when it's supposed to be out.
They did like a
they
third
had
of the
finished
film.
They had wrapped quite a lot of filming.
According to Snyder, they had finished filming.
Yeah. Most of it. We'll see. So it seems to be the general consensus. None of us liked it. I remember seeing on like Facebook or Twitter, like one of our mutual friends, Matt Moore, was like, "Oh my God, Justice League was so good." He's a big Superman fan and now lives out east. And we were like, "I don't believe you." And then, yeah. Anyway. So we get Zack Snyder's Justice League, which was released, as I said earlier, March 18th after a long and arduous fan campaign, #the Snyder Cut, and it came with a multitude of changes, both technical and in the story. Let's get the technical out of the way because there's only 3 major things, and I think we can knock this out of the park really fast. So the first thing is the color palette was changed. Obviously, the Snyder Cut is more in line with the previous movies, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, a little bit more muted colors. The aspect ratio of the film, which is their biggest thing that people are talking about is it was filmed in IMAX. The whole film was filmed in IMAX, and they kept the original negative aspect ratio of 1.33 to 1 instead of 2.39 to 1, which is the widescreen ratio. There are lots of online comparisons where you can see where they cut. We'll talk about this in a second. And then the Whedon film was scored by Danny Elfman, whereas this version was filmed by the original composer Junkie XL. Thoughts on all 3 of these technical aspects?
So if you're going to release a movie that's not going to hit theaters and everyone's going to watch it at home or on an airplane, why would you put it in 4:3 essentially format when it took so long for everybody to get 16:9 in their homes, and then they go, guess what? We're going to screw you over again. We're going to put this. Like, how many people thought their TV was broken because they didn't watch that first look? It doesn't matter, man.
On HBO Max, they actually had a warning at the beginning. They're like,
I know,
just to let you know, this is in 4:3.
People don't read that shit. They just skip forward.
That's true. That's true.
It doesn't make. I don't understand it.
It's weird. Like I think I was messaging Hawk when I was watching it the first time, and I was just like, it's weird watching this in this aspect ratio because I can see where they were planning on cutting it for the widescreen shots, and you can see where they're like framing it the whole time. And you're like, at least he could have done 1.9, which is the IMAX we get for Batman, like the Batman movies when Christopher Nolan did it. I would have been fine with that widescreen aspect ratio, right? Because then I would have had the full anamorphic widescreen, like the full screen being instead of the black bars. Like,
was anybody else watching the background on a lot of things you wouldn't normally see in those shots? Because I was watching a lot of weird shit. Just like, what's in this corner here? Why is that in frame?
Yeah. Matt Moore, you look like you have
deep breath. One big deep breath.
If you're going to spend that much time adjusting the color palette and doing an insane amount of CGI work, fix the aspect ratio. It's not giving me a more realistic, like this was the director's cut feel. It just looks sloppy.
It's less immersive.
It's distracting.
Yeah.
It's just distracting and weird and unnecessary. It was like this is how you know this was original footage. I don't care. I did not care enough about that for it to be impactful to me.
Shows? Thoughts?
No, what you guys said.
Did it bother you?
Yeah, like I was watching. Like I have in my bedroom I have a smaller TV, and so I was like, all right, I'm just gonna watch it in there because it's HDR, but it made it feel even smaller because it was taking off everything from the sides, right? So,
does Zack Snyder use enough color for HDR to matter?
It's more the shadows and stuff, right? For HDR.
Yeah,
for
the
this one.
deeper blacks.
deeper
Okay,
blacks.
yeah,
I'd say
yeah.
given how shadowy the whole
Right.
color
This
palette,
one.
like the sort of the
Yeah, I
autumnal
guess.
color palette, it
Yeah.
actually would be for all the shadowing.
Yeah,
It looked nice in HDR. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
The 4K actually looks really quite nice. I'm sort of looking forward to the black and white version, sort of, but so only sort of. We'll see. What do you guys think about the score? This is the music is totally different from the last.
I don't remember this one.
Yeah,
Actually, that's not true. That's not true.
I like the
re-
songs.
Yeah, yeah,
I thought it was incredibly melodramatic.
yep. So
to,
Zack Snyder film.
to a distracting point where it's just like, man, like you know what I realized is I just don't like Zack Snyder movies.
There's a weird thing where Junkie XL tried to do this whole leitmotif thing, but he didn't really do it in any of the other movies. So leitmotif, for those who are listening and don't know what it is, it's themes for certain characters or certain moments. Like Star Wars, you'll notice like the Force theme, and Vader's theme is the Imperial March, etc., etc. But this one, like Wonder Woman, has a regular theme, right? But then she had this like choral, like Amazonian, like
They called it, if you had subtitles on, it said ancient lamentation music. Yeah.
I put that on when I'm studying, for a test.
It was weird seeing her show up and then not her theme show up, and it was this other thing. But
Yeah.
Junkie XL made that theme, so
Maybe one of the best parts of the movie is when her theme actually kicked in, because you were like, oh, right, yeah, because that's a really good theme.
when she in the bank sequence, which we'll talk
Yeah.
about. Yeah, fuck yeah. Hawk, thoughts on the music? I know you're a big music fan.
Yeah, like I said, I totally don't remember the Danny Elfman score in that.
No one
To be
does.
honest, that feels like some sort of some producer's, idea of an Easter egg. It's like, oh, let's get the Batman, guy in to do the soundtrack. Anyway, this was much better, especially song choices.
Yeah.
We're placing that whole White Stripes song, "Icky Thump," during Aquaman's thing with the song from Nick Cave. Yeah,
I love
I
that
forgot about
song, though.
I know,
Yeah.
a song for the siren. Yeah, it's a much more personal choice than that. It's not somebody looking for some popular band and that to stick a song in there. Yeah, when you select a Nick Cave song to put in a film, and that's a personal choice. So,
Yeah.
I quite liked it.
I thought the music was actually it felt more right, if that makes more sense. Like for this version, for the way that Snyder framed everything and shot everything, it felt right. Like when they're going into that tunnel sequence, when they first fight Steppenwolf, like that score, fucking awesome. I really like this one. I'm probably gonna download this score. OG Cylon
It's on Spotify.
on Twitch wrote, will the black and white version be in normal or 4:3 ratio? 4:3.
Why are they doing a black and white?
Because he wants
Because it wasn't
to.
melodramatic enough with all the color.
Gotcha.
Well,
Okay.
Junkie XL did the music for Mad Max, so I assume they're trying to Mad Max this and make it a black and white version.
I mean, I would rather watch Mad Max 10 billion times than probably watch this movie again.
I like this film.
I'm
Anyway,
getting the sense that maybe David didn't like this movie.
I think the left side of my screen didn't like this film, but I think the right side did. Let's see. Let's go into the film itself. So this movie actually starts off with a way different opening. The
We
original.
have to put a spoiler warning.
Spoilers. We're going to talk about the film.
Everything after this,
the
folks,
whole
we're going to be
thing.
going into details.
The whole thing. So the original film, the 2017 version, started off with a weird cell phone camera sequence where Mustache Man was trying to erase his mustache and he was talking to kids. This one starts off with the ending of Batman v Superman and the shockwaves going out into the world, and you're seeing sort of this this whole not repercussions, but you see the reverberations and the results of what happens when these two epic giants, like these titans, die. What do you think of this new opening?
It was certainly more striking.
It was definitely striking, yes.
Yeah.
I like how they explained that's why the mother box woke up, because the shockwave actually told the mother box that Superman was gone.
I mean, the shockwave sounded almost like a signal, right? Like there was something to it. It wasn't just like a noise. There was like something there.
Yeah, I wonder if Lex Luthor did something with Doomsday, because he created him and
Doomsday?
under the influence of Steppenwolf, right? So maybe that makes sense. Sorry, Matt, you were gonna say something?
Oh, I wasn't going to say anything.
Okay. But not only was the intro of this film different, but so was the introductions of all the characters. Like everything felt a lot different, a lot longer. Everyone got their moment. Batman is gathering heroes not because he doesn't know if he's ready or whatnot. It's because he made a promise at Clark's grave that he would, get the world ready for the upcoming battle. And if we know anything about Batman, he likes going to graves and making promises. So
kind of his thing.
Yeah. What'd you guys think of these
Everyone's
new?
gotta have a hobby.
Clark died in that alley
Yeah, Wonder Woman has her fight
after being shot by that mugger.
Wonder Woman has her fight in the museum. Aquaman has the same scene, but with more singing and sweater smelling. And then the Flash gets a slow motion sequence with hot dogs and Irish West. What do you guys think of this whole these new introductions?
That Flash thing was awesome.
I love that.
Was it?
I loved it.
I know,
when the car was flipping over.
I like when his shoes exploded.
I thought that was amazing.
The Flash thing was really cool. I loved when they did it in Age of Apocalypse. It was the Quicksilver sequence.
Right. But they also did that in Days of Future Past, if you remember.
Sorry, Days of Future. I knew it
No,
was.
they did it in both.
That was Days of Future. I meant Days of Future Past.
Yeah, because they did two different songs.
The Quicksilver sequence. It was, which was very cool, but also very much that same bit.
It's true. I do like the shoe thing. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
It looked, and they definitely did it, I would say, less campy and more to how Barry Allen was in that film, but it was still like, I saw that, I'm like, I get that. I recognize
as soon as he got the hot dog,
I gotta get that hot dog.
I was sitting there, it's like, what are you gonna do with that hot dog?
Right? I was like,
I was wondering if he was gonna grab a bun and some ketchup.
That would have made more sense because he looks like a homeless person in this film, and apparently he lives like a homeless person. I liked his sequence. I think his intro was the best, one of the best. Cyborg's intro was also really interesting because we got to see him first, and he was more brooding, and he's still trying to figure out his powers, which was nice.
And coming to terms with what he had to deal with as well too. So,
but they fixed the CG on him too, right? Like is it just me or does he look a little bit better?
No, they updated
way
the
better.
CG.
Yeah. And his voice
I remember
has processing too.
Yeah, because back in the original release, that was one of the things that I remembered about that movie is that Cyborg looked really weird with the CG.
I still don't think the CG in this film holds any kind of candle to Endgame or Infinity War, though. Like, it's good. It's better than it was. But, like, you look at Steppenwolf and you look at Thanos, and you look at Steppenwolf and you're like, that's a cartoon character. You look at Thanos and you're like, that could be a real fucking Grimace in front of me. Like, that dude's real.
Yeah. I wonder how much, like, they had a time constraint and then working at home at the same time. I feel like there might have been some.
And we're talking about renders that were probably they're working on renders or re-rendering stuff from like 5 years ago.
There was someone who was talking about one of the special effects supervisors was talking about how because how much time has changed or how much technology has changed in that time, it's like being an archaeologist trying to fix all of these old.
They might not even use the same programs anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Like I will say, I liked how Steppenwolf looked in this version better.
So much better.
Well,
much more menacing.
I like
the whole apocalyptic crew looked.
It gave him a unique aesthetic, right? That he didn't have before.
Yeah.
All those little blades on his armor that would just go ching, 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 ching.
And then his armor disappears when
he's talking to Darkseid. That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's like he's prostrating himself. Like it's actually like he has to make sure he's not defensive when talking to Darkseid.
Also Steppenwolf is more like we get his character motivation more in this film than the last one. Like the last one, he was just trying to take over the world.
Yeah, he's not just a bad guy here.
Generic alien bad guy number 47. This one you actually you cared why, which again is part of my I'm throwing shenanigans out there.
Yeah, why? Why for this one at least?
Okay, I'll dive into this now because it'll help paint the narrative for the rest of what we're gonna do.
For sure.
I 100% do not think that all of this was what Zack Snyder filmed. I guarantee.
You're right.
After Infinity War,
Didn't he say he did some reshoots?
No, he said he had done some reshoots. I think he did rewrites and reshoots. Like he looked at what happened with Justice League and then looked at everything that happened with Infinity War and then said, we're going to repivot this and then reshoot to make it as good as that movie was.
Maybe.
Like,
I
do you
don't-
think in his version, his original idea, like they even talked about what's the math equation?
Oh,
The
the
anti-life
anti-life.
equation.
Do you think
for
that
sure,
was even?
for sure.
It
They had
wouldn't
they had
surprise
an
me 'cause
image
that's
of it. Yeah.
That's a big thing with
Oh no, that disappeared. Soundwise. I can't hear anyone. Can I hear you guys? What the fuck? Why can't I hear
You
anyone?
want?
There you go. Now I can hear you guys.
Oh, damn it! I was
Okay.
about to say something terrible.
cool. What was I on about?
Free
I
nations
don't
run
know.
the country.
The anti-life equation was in the original for that first teaser of the nightmare sequence. You saw it, so it
Yeah.
was.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's always been a thing with Apocalypse, so it wouldn't be surprising if it was there. I got a feeling that there was so much stuff, like there was influences you could see that were in Infinity War, that there's no way that just coincidentally also happened
But
for two different movies.
Kieran Hines said that he did not come back and redo any of his vocals. So, there's that.
No, absolutely. I'm sure there's
His vocals are so augmented, though.
that's the other
Could
thing.
be.
too.
So,
That could
I
almost
mean-
be anybody.
They got Nolan North to
here's
come in.
something people
Oh,
don't
God,
realize
no.
is that you might have like Kieran Hines come in and do a bunch of work, and they go, "We can't get him again. Let's get someone who sounds like him." They do that
Exactly.
shit all the time.
Yeah.
That's true.
Fuck it, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
And this entire process
it's
was
cheaper.
fixing it in post.
Yeah.
I can see where that could be. That not making it a bad movie. I actually like the idea. Oh my god, did the internet fucking
Anybody
Go
else
off
notice
again?
Eric's frozen?
Yeah,
Eric,
Eric's
sorry,
frozen.
hold on.
Lucas frozen.
Hold on,
With
let me
a different
just-
face.
A pretty good, face, but not.
I'm waiting for the
Fuck.
stream to catch up.
There we go.
So
there
the
it is.
rest of us are frozen on stream, but Eric isn't. And
one
then we're
sec.
frozen
I don't know who's
Yeah.
using internet at my fucking house. No one's here.
Language, Padre, language.
Who's stealing all my tubes? If I do this, will you stop
Hold on,
stealing all my
I'm
water?
gonna turn off my MacBook because who knows what.
Gosh,
You know what's probably happening is my fucking PS5 is like time to update stuff.
Yeah, got to download a 75 gig patch.
Fuck.
Is
This
this
is
That's
why
the price
Windows
you pay
to
for
update?
having the shiny new tech.
This is why I turned off. That's why I deleted Warzone, so I don't have to deal with that shit. Anyway, sorry. I keep on getting disconnected.
Anyways, the crux of my big rant. I don't think that as much as he claimed that this was all taking from original footage he had filmed, no, it was not. I guarantee that I will put money down that they took stuff from what had happened cinematically since this movie was originally made, and then made adjustments to make it align with that because they knew it was popular. That's all I'll say about it.
He did talk about the second and third films in his proposed trilogy. We'll talk about that at the end.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Cyborg because he seems to be really the heart of this film, and which is good because when they redid the whole Justice League thing in the I'm gonna say the late 2000s, early 2010s ish, he was sort of the new member of the Justice League, and we sort of saw the forming of Justice when they reformed Justice League. I don't know which one, the New 52 or one of those reboots.
It was before
that
New
they-
52.
It was it.
Yeah.
He sort of was that new character that sort of brought everything together, and they sort of did that with this film. What did we think about him when he was learning his powers? His dad was narrating what he could do now and how powerful he was when he was connecting to the internet. We got to see a full visualization of the internet. Plus, he was helping that waitress, which I thought was really cool. What do you think of this whole intro to Cyborg and Cyborg in general? Because he was way more in this film.
I remember when the original movie came out that the actor whose name is
Ray
escaping me,
Fisher.
played him, Ray Fisher,
Right.
had said that he was pissed because they had
Yeah.
cut a lot of his stuff out.
I mean, he's still pissed.
Sure, but I mean, I'm glad to see, like, I can understand if this was, and again, initially the intention of what they had for that character, for them to have then basically gutted him for the Justice League movie. Yeah, I would be pissed off too.
Yeah, because really, when we get to talk about the ending was about him and the Flash beating Steppenwolf and the Mother Boxes, which not in the original film,
Not at all what the original movie was.
but like. Could you imagine getting your part cut down so much? Like, I don't remember him in the first movie.
He barely was in the first
Yeah.
movie. He was kind of just there and had a lot of weapons.
There was
Probably
this.
why the CGI was so cheap on him in that version, because
Yeah.
it was like, well, he's
Sure.
only on screen for 12 minutes.
Sorry, shows.
We had to
There-
spend a
there
few
was
million
just
on a
this-
mustache.
This part where and I might be misremembering this, but I thought in the original cut, it seemed like his father had constructed the cyborg suit or constructed his cybernetics, and whereas with this cut, it seemed more like the mother box just created Cyborg.
No, that's what it was in the original one too.
Yeah.
His father had worked on the mother box and used it to. It was very loose, like they didn't really talk about it.
Okay,
but they
yeah,
also
they didn't go
sort of
into-
mentioned it in Batman v Superman as well.
Okay.
Sorry, Hawk, you were saying about Cyborg?
Oh, it was great. It was great that they brought all this stuff back to this cut, and that his role was much more expanded. It was good. I enjoyed it, and that you got all the backstory in that involved in Cyborg's story too. The death of his mother and that, and like his father kind of choosing to resurrect him and that using this this terrible technology.
His story from like start to finish is maybe the best just part of this whole movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Like he gets a full arc basically in this movie where a lot of other people don't. They don't need them, but
Yeah.
yeah, like he was
and just-
the heart of this film.
Yeah, and just like Barry, it was like for a film, this was our first introduction to him in that. So like, he should, from the start, have had like all these scenes in there. All, more of a cut in Whedon's version in 17 and that. It was the audience's first introduction, and they were supposed to, and these people that were going to continue on this whole franchise and that. So it was great that they got it. All this got put back in there.
Speaking of like characters that didn't really or felt weird in the last version, seeing the Amazons in this film was a delight. Like they were so badass in this film, and the way that how fast they move, how vicious they were not sexualized at all. Like they were not sexualized in this film at all, but in the last film it was like ass shots the whole time, and like it felt weird thinking about how
I think
gross it was.
I think he actually, I'm going to compliment Zack Snyder. He did a good job of making them seem badass, and then kind of gave them like their Rogue One moment where it was like, oh shit, Steppenwolf is hot on our heels and he's going to just beat the shit out of us until he gets the mother box, right? Like he's just tearing through them one at a time in kind of a badass way. So to like make him like, because we know the Amazons are badass, and then we see them being badass, and then we see someone beating them, like
And they-
basically solo.
They killed themselves, right? Just to trap them
They
in that temple.
sacrificed.
Like that was so cool that the whole thing fell into the ocean, because before he just jumped out of the building, and you're like, okay, fuck,
Yeah,
whatever.
it didn't make sense. Like, what was this? How was this supposed to be a protective trap?
Yeah.
Who knows?
But there was like no fear in those women. Like the queen was
No.
like, ready the hammers, and they were like, all right, time to die.
Like, let's go.
Oh, so cool. Let's see, where do I want to go from here? There's a sequence in the original film where we saw Martha and Lois Lane talking in their apartment, and sort of Martha trying to get her back into the world. She has receded in her life because of Superman's death. So, and apparently because she's pregnant. We'll talk about that in a bit. But
Womp womp.
like a shotgun through the back.
Oh,
Sorry, mall rats
Howard,
always.
Everything I mean, it's not
it's
terrible.
it's the power of the mustache, I tell you.
What if Kevin Smith directed a Justice League movie?
Yeah, there would be a lot of people talking and the action going on off screen.
I'm fine with that.
Why is Cyborg hiding behind a rock?
So we
Actually, he'd
find
make a great Teen Titans movie, wouldn't he?
I would love that. So we find out that it wasn't actually Martha Kent, but it was actually Martian Manhunter, a founding member of the Justice League in the comics. So what do you think of seeing Martian Manhunter in this film? And did it undercut the conversation between Martha and Lois, knowing that it wasn't actually Martha trying to get him?
No, yes and no, because originally it wasn't like Bruce who convinces, or maybe it's like insinuated or something, but he's the one who gets Martha to talk to Lois, basically trying to like use them, like emotionally manipulate them. I might be wrong, but that's what I remember.
I kind of remember that as well, too.
I don't remember that one.
Whereas this time it's like some alien dude's like, man, we really need to get Lois Lane for some reason to do what she needs to do. How does he know what he knows?
To be fair, he's been there the
Yeah,
whole
he's
time.
been
He's been there the entire time.
And he likes.
It's been Martian Manhunter all along.
Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Uh, oh no, you're trying to. You can't do that. This is not. This is not the night. What is Amalgam Comics? There's no Dark Claw here.
Nope, my bad. Chefs, what do you think of that sequence? And Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, because Martian Manhunter is played by the guy that was in Dollhouse.
Yes,
Yeah.
Henry Lennox.
Yeah.
Harry Lennox. Yeah, Lennox.
But
Harry.
was he also? But he also played. Was he the same guy who played Martian Manhunter in the Supergirl?
No,
series?
No, it was a
Is
different
that-
guy, David something.
Okay.
I can't remember his name.
He-
He was on Homeland for the first 2
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
But
It up.
also, like the Martian Manhunter looked dope in this movie.
Yeah.
he did.
Like he looked good.
Mhm.
And I got real anxious when I heard rumors that was going to happen. I was like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, that's exactly how that should look. And that's
I'm really sad he didn't join the fight at that. Like it seems weird that he didn't, but I guess you can't add more stuff to the end. They already changed the fight at the end sequence.
For the better.
But it was a good cameo, and it makes sense for the end sequence. There's a lot of other cameos in this film. There's Ryan Choi, who ends up becoming a later Adam, and they actually talk about nanophysics later. Granny Goodness we see when we look at Apocalypse.
and
There's
Assad.
the Sod, who's actually a really important character in this. He's sort of the envoy between Steppenwolf and Darkseid. We see the old Jimmy Olsen as a police officer from the 80s. That's amazing. Detective Crispin Allen from the GCPD. That was a pull that I did not expect to hear from Jim Gordon. Yalin Gur in the flashback. He was the Green Lantern that died in that flashback sequence. And then
That was cool. Where
that-
the hand gets cut off and the ring tries to escape.
Yeah. So he was the original protector of this sector, and like
1,000
three or
years ago or
five,
something like that?
3,000 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And in the comics, and then eventually we move on to
What?
you
This isn't a documentary?
know. What? And then we saw Kilowog as well, which I
That's what I was going
pretty
to say.
cool.
I was going to say Kilowog as well, which was brutal to see.
Probably the best part of the Green Lantern movie, right there. Michael Clark Duncan is Kilowog.
Yeah, I also liked Sinestro.
Taika Waititi. Oh yeah. Mark Strong was a good Sinestro.
Mark Strong was good. That's an unfortunate film, but whatever. Let's go into the one more change, just because I thought it was weird. Before we go into the third act, Mira is in this film, and Volko from the Aquaman.
I think the less said
movies.
about Amber Heard, probably the better.
But I liked her British accent. It actually felt
It sounded
better than
awful to me.
I didn't mind it. I liked it better.
I thought it was okay.
It added this weird class issue between him and Aquaman. Like she was royalty and he was like this commoner. I thought that was neat. I like that Volko was there and he's the one who gave Aquaman his mother's staff, because randomly in the Justice League one, he just shows up with it. And you're like, okay, I guess he has this.
I like the Willem Dafoe. I don't like the Amber Heard part.
And I like the
don't
Aquaman
know.
movie, so it was nice to see all of this.
Yeah.
tie
It was
in.
good to see them get incorporated into Justice League.
Yeah, you can definitely see that this was the film that they tried to incorporate all these solo movies that were going to go off. And like whenever they showed like the Iris West sequence and then this Aquaman sequence, like it was nice to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's go into the third act.
I just think if you're gonna do I don't think a British accent has to insinuate class structure, and I think we should probably stop putting that in movies on purpose.
That's true. But British people.
I found her British accent to be as effective as her ex-husband's.
But you have heard of it.
I'll just leave it at that.
So the third act has changed dramatically in this. Do you guys? Should we talk?
Do you mean part 6? Part 5?
God, I don't even know. Let's talk about the Superman's return before we get into the finale thing.
Yes.
So originally the team was like, it was such a weird in the 2017 version, because Wonder Woman and Batman had this whole self-doubt thing that they couldn't lead the team, and there's like, oh, I don't think we can lead these groups here. Let's bring back Superman. And it was their idea to bring him back. But we see that the whole Justice League, it was Cyborg and The Flash who are figuring out how to use the mother box, which makes sense because they're the smartest ones there, right? Who knew?
Yeah.
And
Go figure.
it was their idea to bring Superman back, and then he comes back a little weird, and
Which they didn't explain as well this time, did they? Like it was a little.
They did the whole like you don't want to mix this with Kryptonian tech. Like that was the whole. Like there was, I remember the.
Yeah, you don't know what could go wrong.
And the
Like in the
Motherbox
other
is
version,
freaking out, right?
he just says pet cemetery, and everyone goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, yeah, he came back bad."
But we
Yeah.
had the whole sequence where Cyborg got that flash forward into the nightmare realm.
Yep.
And we got the mother boxes freaking out, being like, "Don't do this! Don't do this
Yeah.
now! You should stop
Nope,
this."
Nope.
But do they do it because they know the mother boxes are bad? They're
Yeah.
like, well, it's telling me this
Yeah.
bad thing's going to happen, but this thing's bad, so I shouldn't
So-
listen to it.
Would the bad
No,
thing that the bad thing says be bad? Yeah.
Or is it even telling the truth? Can mother
Yeah.
boxes lie?
Mother boxes will use your fears against you. That was explained in the
That wasn't the
movie.
mother box that was talking. That was the AI on the Kryptonian
But I
ship.
think the AI knew what a mother box was, so
yeah, so it
yeah,
was
no,
trying to tell him,
100%,
don't
yeah.
do this. You shouldn't be interacting with this mother box.
But the
Yeah.
the Kryptonian ship didn't give him a vision.
No, the mother.
no, the
box.
vision
Mother
came from the
box
mother
did.
box.
yeah.
But the question is, does Cyborg know any of that in that moment? Right?
I feel like he knows everything. Apparently,
Yeah.
if he interfaces with it.
Makes
So
sense.
how did they get around the whole mustache thing? Like, did they refilm stuff or
None of this
he
was
just never had it.
Yeah, he didn't have
In
it
the
in any
original
of this
filming.
film.
Yeah, because that whole fight, the resurrection in the 2017 was the reshoot.
Oh,
Like
Yeah.
all
okay.
that was they all reshot that because they wanted to have this fluffier bit. So that was part of the whole reshoot where they had to remove the mustache.
It's
it was
so
like,
weird because this
3 months
scene
after
felt
the
the
fact.
least changed.
Yeah, no.
Like the beginning and end are kind of this. Like everything works out the same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They
yeah,
did
they
make
just
a
added
really
in-
important change though
Which-
in the resurrection and that they took out him like holding Batman up by the neck and like saying like
This
"Do you
one was
bleed?"
way more vicious. Like
Oh,
he,
yeah.
I know,
he tried to
but it-
burn the shit out of him, and that was
Yeah.
amazing. I like the idea that Batman wasn't the one who was like, "Let's bring Lois Lane here." It's her ritual just to go there
Yeah.
and pay respects every morning. And
But
it
we
just
also
happened
know
to be
how
the morning.
Batman doesn't instantly get incinerated, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole gauntlet thing.
Yeah,
But there is one huge problem with this scene, and it's just the problem with the writing, and it's that they somehow all just forgot about the mother box. That they knew, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna lure a bad guy here if we do this, and Superman's gonna come back.
I don't think
And
they
then they just
forgot
leave
about
it?
it. They sort of.
No,
I feel like
they knew.
I feel
Just
like they
put it
were
in
more
front of
worried that
Superman.
Superman was gonna freak out
Just put
and
it,
kill everyone.
put it on Superman, and then the bad guy's got, oh, Superman's got the mother box. I'm not gonna fight him, and then you're fine.
Well, but you're applying logic to a comic book movie at the end of the day, and there's certain you have to give certain allowances.
They're
for
gonna if they're gonna fix this
Billy
other
because
crap, why wouldn't you fix that?
Okay,
well, they also weren't planning on him going full homicidal, so I think
That's
they were
true.
kind of a little distracted for that bit of time with the oh shit, we forgot about this.
Were they not like though? Never let this thing out of your sight, and then immediately they go, it's gone forever, I guess.
the
They
one
discussed this in the film though, in that they knew that there was no way they could actually stop Steppenwolf at that point from taking the box when they activated it, but they did it anyways because they knew they had to bring Clark back.
because
Yeah.
Clark was the strongest one.
Yeah. And he's
This-
and you see how super OP he is at the end battle.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
The sequence also added a really good little end bit where Cyborg's dad dies to superheat the mother box so that they can find it later. I thought that was such a really cool sequence. Like he knew what to do. Like, and we saw that scene earlier where Ryan Choi was like superheating the mother box for fun, or for science. Let me rephrase that.
For fun.
For science. Thanks,
He's like,
Star
you
Labs.
can roast marshmallows on this thing.
Star Labs, all about coulda, not shoulda.
Now I'm gonna go into the thing that bothers me the most about this film, and this is the black Superman suit. So being a big Superman fan who has the sealed, death of Superman thing, the original reason he had a black suit in the comics was because he had no powers when he came back, and this suit helped him absorb more sunlight so that he can regenerate his powers. And the mullet helped too because his hair is black and it's long and it absorbs some more power. Right? That's how it works. But this one, he seemed to just wear it because it was cool.
It's like he had a whole wardrobe. He could just pick one that he liked.
Well, he did walk through and all those
Yeah.
suits came out, but he's like, oh yeah,
He
you know
could have
what?
picked a battle suit. He could have picked the regular suit. He could have picked when one's described as a like an exploration
Yeah,
suit. Apparently.
the exploration suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
And
the
then
first
it's
one.
like, I'm just gonna go with this one.
Well, but okay, here's the without, and I know they didn't really explain it, but here's the argument that I'll give. If you go with the comic continuity, where that suit was designed to help him recharge because it helped him basically super absorb sunlight, if he knows he's about to go into this massive battle, yeah, that's the suit I would choose.
Fair.
Yeah.
He did go up
It's
in the
like-
sunlight with it.
That
right,
was a
and
cool
recharge.
sequence where he goes up into space and he's just sort of holding his arms out like to
You-
collect all the sun.
Like
No,
that
the-
would
when he
I
went
would
up,
argue
he
that
became
that would-
Jesus.
Yeah, but I would argue that that would be the reason why he would choose that suit. He's like, this is going to hypercharge me as quickly as possible. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what?
Just-
I'll let you have that one. I'm fine with that.
But we
I
know
will say,
that's
just-
not exactly how his powers work, based in Man of Steel, right? Like we do know that. That's not exactly how things work. in
No,
this
but
film.
I'll forgive it for the sake of the Easter egg that they did with that suit because it was the whole Death Rebirth. That was the suit that he wore. That it was
could have
that
just
was
been that
Snyder
it got,
doing.
they mixed the whites and the colors in the wash, and it came out
And he's just like, we're gonna tie-dyed black. It'll be fine. It'll be
it'll be
fine.
fine.
It would have been awesome if he like had it to regenerate and then show up in the last scene in the full blue and reds.
It would have
Because
been.
it would have been
better.
more epic.
because he
I wanna
can
say-
change super fast.
Exactly. He doesn't even need a phone booth for that.
I don't know why he wears a suit. I would fight crime naked.
Mm,
He
uh,
can still get
He
hurt.
was raised much better than that.
I don't want to know what other superpowers he'd develop if that were the case.
So let's go
At
into
the
the
very-
third. Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
Bob.
at the very least, I've been trying to get this out here. At the very least, thank God they didn't go with the mullet.
No, we
I mean,
needed the
that's
mullet. Damn
biggest-
it.
No,
That's
we
the
did
biggest
not. We did
injustice
not.
of all, honestly, is that he
We
had
did-
no mullet.
We
It's
did
true.
not
because-
need the 92 mullet.
And here's what I'll say: if you're gonna give him the sunlight thing, then he should be regenerating quicker, and his hair should grow faster, like Wolverine, and that's why he has the mullet. He
Okay,
doesn't have
I
time
would-
to cut it; he has to go fight crime.
I would argue with that logic, I'd be okay with it, provided that the curl was there as well. Because if
Damn
you don't have
straight.
the curl, the
Yeah.
mullet's bad news.
All right.
We know he can do curls. We know Henry Cavill can do the little curls.
Let's move on to the third act, which was completely different. So, in the original film, the parademons sensed fear, and that was the big thing about them. But in this film, we see that the parademons could tell who had been in contact with the mother boxes, so that was their thing. That way, Steppenwolf doesn't die by the parademons at the end. That's just my big change. So this third act is actually really cool because the whole idea is that they wanted Cyborg to interface with the mother boxes so that they could separate, and that was the plan. Him and the Flash were that again major plot point with these two characters.
Yeah.
So their plan was to distract while those people did that. The action sequence was amazing. Instead of Wonder Woman just fighting Steppenwolf by himself, it was Aquaman, Cyborg, and Wonder Woman together, and I think it's one of the best things. And then we get Superman. He returns in a way cooler fashion, breaks the axe on his shoulder after freezing it, and I'm just gonna keep going. And they actually fail. They fail. We
Yeah.
see them fail on screen, which is amazing. Again, shenanigans.
That should happen. I'm like, bullshit. You stole that from Infinity War. But I'm not mad about it, but I was like, there's no way that just coincidentally these two epic team up movies had the exact same thing happen.
Yeah.
But then we got a cool sequence with the Flash and reliving his father's words, going through the Time Force, which was one of his rules not to go into it that deep. And it sort of ties back to Batman v Superman when we see him, time travel. So that was cool. We see Cyborg interface with the mother boxes, and then they fucking kill Steppenwolf in such a cool way. Aquaman stabs him, lifts him up. Superman punches him, and then Wonder Woman beheads him
And
as his
then-
body flies towards Darkseid.
and then punts his head to the feet of Darkseid.
Then
So-
Darkseid crushes his skull with his foot.
Oh my god, such a cool
Like,
scene. What did you guys think of
come
this redone third act?
That was way better, way cooler. I doubt the whole third act of this, from like the start of it through to the end of the end credit sequences, this is where I called shenanigans. Like I can accept some of the stuff earlier. This is where you saw what happened with the Infinity War movies. you need to make this epic and dope, and I'm fine with that. I accept.
Yeah, Snyder
that's
went for the
choice.
head.
Yeah, he went for the head. After failing the first time, always go for the head.
Over the head.
Come on.
And I remember with the Joss version, they had this whole sequence with a family that was being terrorized by the parademons, and they were trying to escape in a pickup truck or something, and the Flash had to come and rescue them. Do you guys remember that whole thing?
Yeah, it was garbage.
Yeah,
Vaguely,
busy,
yeah.
busy work for Barry.
Yeah.
Because it was cute. It was cutesy and family friendly.
I like the fact that that Steppenwolf went to a place where there seemed to be like a reactor meltdown and no one was there. That made way more sense than having this rundown Russian place, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, with a couple of families still hanging around after all that time.
Oh, after all the nuclear fallout. God. I thought the sequence was amazing.
We had no idea World War II is over.
We still around? Who knows? Any other final thoughts on this Act 3 before we get into the epilogue, which is something?
Everything about the Act 3 felt great to me in that. I'm glad they got rid of the red sky.
They felt like a team.
They
Yeah,
still
they
they,
felt
they
like a
kept they
team.
kept the my man in there too, which is good.
That's fine.
They all have
That's
very
just
important
Jason
roles
Momoa.
to play.
The only gripe I actually have with this part is this once again Batman just shooting stuff. Just like I'm Batman and I shoot stuff, and it's like okay. I mean, he uses like a gadget one time to like throw a grenade or something at a guy.
Yeah.
Like, oh cool, Batman's doing a Batman thing. And then the rest of the time he's just using like alien guns. You're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that to me is
Cool.
just that was how Snyder wanted that character portrayed. Like that
Yeah.
was no, like this is his Batman. Neat. That's his Batman.
I felt like Aquaman was really strong during this fight too. Like it just seemed like there were a lot of sequences where he would get his trident and he'd stab like 4 guys at once, and then pull out the trident and flip.
I
like,
mean,
he was-
Aquaman's really strong.
Aquaman is really strong.
He's really strong.
He is.
So it's cool that he actually gets to be really strong.
Yeah.
He's a god. Him,
Yeah.
Wonder Woman,
Half a
Superman.
god.
Yeah, no, but he's yeah, that's fair. So we get to the epilogue, or as I call it, the longer Fellowship ending, or the longer Lord of the Rings ending.
Yeah.
Which I didn't mind. I actually like the epilogue.
there and back again.
I thought it was really weird when Superman knelt down and the Barry and said, "My friends, you've kneeled to no one."
So we get that whole sequence again that Batman buys the bank for Superman and Lois. Although we get a nice little weird little congrats to Superman because he's gonna be a daddy. The Injustice way, which we'll talk about in like 2 seconds. We get Wonder Woman and Alfred and Batman setting up the Hall of Justice, which we saw in the future sequence, which is cool. I like the idea that the burnt down Wayne Manor is becoming that. We see Batman on the motherfucking Dark Knight Returns tank, which I did not expect.
That was kind of dope.
That was definitely dope. And then we get the nightmare sequence. Okay, so Zack Snyder has said a lot about what his plans of the next 2 films were, and I doubt we're ever gonna get them. But you never know. The Snyder Cut came
just
out.
about no one is returning for any of these films.
Yeah.
Although Ben Affleck said he would come back for
Right, but
Well,
like the
Affleck,
Flash,
yeah.
the Flash lost like another director, and now Billy Crudup's not even going to come back as the Flash's dad.
He wanted to. He can't.
Well,
Because he's filming that what show is he on? Fuck.
something.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Whatever
matter.
he's
Anyway.
Like they can't get any, they can't
It
build
just-
a movie.
Just get Zach to come back and do 2 and 3. I'm fine with it. So we find out that Batman is roaming the Earth with Deathstroke, Mirror, Flash in his funky armor, Cyborg, and the Joker. We get the new Joker, which is still played by Jared Leto. And
Yet somehow looks nothing like he did in the last movie.
it was a weird like amalgamation of all the previous Jokers, all
was-
into one.
Did his laugh get worse?
Yes, it did.
How it got worse?
It got worse.
Like he's just a balloon leaking air, and like
I
we're
ju-
almost out of air.
I love the fact that all of a sudden all his tattoos were gone.
Yeah.
The mouth had changed. His
Yeah.
like, the hair, obviously his hair's gonna grow, but like
Well, those are probably just fake teeth that you can put in and out, right? That's
but
Yeah.
even then, like it's you know what I mean? Like it's just like all of a sudden we get Jared Leto doing a wish.com version of Dark Knight Joker. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It
was
was
Wish.com Heath Ledger's Joker, played by Jared Leto, and this I'm sure great, but also like
It also felt like he was also trying to like do Joaquin Phoenix at the same time. It was very
a little
weird.
bit, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
It was just it felt so.
But
it was
better
so-
than his Joker. Still,
I mean, I guess.
I did not like Justice. I did not like Suicide Squad.
Here's the thing.
No.
I hated what they did to the Joker in Suicide Squad, but at least if that's the character you're going to create, at least fucking stick to the character
Yeah.
you invented.
Yeah.
Like, I was more angry when I saw the Joker in that post credit, because I'm like, oh, so you're now just backpedaling on all the shit that everyone hated from that Joker. I'm like, no, fuck you. Make your decision and stick to it. Don't backpedal because it's in some alternate future now.
I'm
Like,
gonna
no.
say something that might anger you.
Go ahead.
The black and white version of the film might have a longer Joker sequence.
I didn't hate the sequence. See, here's the thing. I didn't hate the sequence. I got mad at the filmmakers for just backpedaling off a character choice that everyone hated.
Yeah.
I would respect them more if they just kept the character the way it was, and you can love it or hate it, but you know that's that universe's Joker.
Do you
Don't
think that
give me a different Joker now because everyone hated the one that you gave us.
Do you think that they consulted David Ayer about changing the Joker this way?
No, I don't think they
No.
talked to anyone.
Yeah,
I don't think they talked to anyone. I don't think they talked to Jeff Johns or whoever they thought would be a good person to talk to about this.
Now, was this whole sequence was this all part of Zack Snyder's original plan? Like he filmed all this or no?
So he filmed this
Yes.
originally,
In
added a
quotation
little.
marks.
He added the Joker sequence, or at least
Yeah.
extended it. Basically, what happens is that Superman gets taken over by the anti-life equation, because after being overcome by grief because Lois and his child died. This is the same storyline that's in the Injustice
Yes.
video games and comic books, which is actually really interesting in the video games.
Except in that version, we wouldn't have a Joker
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Superman kills the Joker.
because of
Would have been much preferable to because that's a badass moment when Superman just rips his heart through the back of his chest.
Yeah.
But the cool
I'm sorry,
the,
Superman does.
the cool thing in this sequence is that the Joker is insinuating that Batman let Lois die. And that's the reason why, like sort of, I'm going to say sort of, connecting back to the Batman v Superman nightmare sequence where the Flash goes and tells him that Lois is the key, and that we see the interrogation scene where he's tied up by Batman.
I don't know if you're aware, but there were supposed leaked storyboards done by Jim Lee. And in those, there's a whole sequence where Lois tells Bruce, specifically, he's not the father, so they have an argument, and then he leaves, insinuating that they had a little fling while Superman was dead. And then he leaves, so then she dies.
Yeah.
So in Justice League 3 or whatever it was going to be, is that he fixes it all.
Yeah.
He tells Barry, because Barry keeps going back in time to keep warning him, and then he goes, tell him that, tell him Lois lied, you are the father, and then everything gets fixed or whatever. That was their whole.
Yeah, so this was
It all
nixed.
comes to that.
This was nixed when they were making Justice League because DC didn't want Batman to have an affair with Lois. So those are
Even
the
though Clark was dead, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
We were on a break.
So Zack
Yeah.
Snyder said that his plans for Justice League 2 and 3 were the fact that Batman was sent on a mission by Superman
God.
to protect Lois and his kid because, out of everyone in the Justice League, he knows that Batman could do this. And for one reason or another, Bats leaves and Lois dies. And overcome with grief, Darkseid uses the anti-life equation to control him, and then Superman goes fucking nuts, kills everyone, destroys everything as we see in the nightmare sequence. And the second movie would have been, or the third movie. So the second movie explains this. The third movie would have been this crew that we see in this nightmare sequence trying to go back in time and fix everything.
Because who wouldn't want to see that crew?
Well, here's the thing. I'm just going to because in the
Justice
earlier nightmare sequence where you see Darkseid just fucking decimating everyone, in one of the shot, I think it's the shot with Kilowog dead, you actually see the Joker card that's been torn in half floating down in the screen.
Yeah.
Like it's actually, and that ties in with the conversation happening. You tear this in half and blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
the
blah.
truce is over.
Yeah.
So it's that whole You know, how many times has, you know, that's the whole thing with Jokers. How many times have you failed?
I like it.
Question: how does Joker know that he keeps failing this?
I like Injustice. I would love to see this movie made.
I
love
would
to see an
rather see
Injustice
an
movie.
actual Injustice movie though
Yeah.
than the bastardization of it. Because this is
Wow.
not. I would argue this version of the story is definitely not as good as what actually happens in Injustice.
You know what's weird is that this version of the film was easier to watch with my kid than the 2017 version, and this one's
Even though
longer.
this version's R-rated and that version was PG rated.
Yeah, which I thought it was weird. But my eldest is a little weird at times, which I appreciate.
I mean, this one didn't leave you with a million new questions and no answers when you were done.
That's
You're
true.
like, okay, everything here made sense. You don't have to like it, but at least it made sense.
And then Batman wakes up, and we get Martian Manhunter saying that the fight is still happening. Darkseid's coming, which was originally going to be a Green Lantern sequence with Jon Stewart, but they want to save him for the Green Lantern movie, so they're
Also,
like,
Manhunter was way better as a choice there.
Exactly.
Wasn't there an insinuation earlier in this movie too? Yeah, it was like something like there's an architect position that's open or whatever, and because Jon Stewart was originally an architect rather than a marine.
Yeah.
yeah. I feel like that was also a callback. So
Yeah.
that's the end of the film. Out of 10 Wonder Woman guitar riffs, what would you give this film? Matt Moore.
Having not watched the full one till far later, this one I would say gets a solid, with the original 2017 version getting a 3 out of my on my ratings on this. I would give this one a solid 7.5. It still wasn't great, and there was still a lot of issues with it, but it was twice the film that, literally and figuratively, twice the film that the original was.
All right, Michael Schaus. What do you give it out of 10?
I'm gonna go with 8. I enjoyed it. I had fun. It wasn't perfect, but I did have a lot of fun watching it.
Nice.
And the sequences, like there's so some of the eye candy was just so campy that I just loved it. Like there was a sequence during this third act where they're Batman's in the car and they're all running alongside all the other heroes are alongside,
slow
and
motion?
then the camera slows to like a freeze for a second.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, the
I
Age
love
of
that.
Ultron moment.
The
Yeah,
Age of
Age of
Ultron
Ultron moment. Yeah,
Yep.
I just ate that up. I loved it.
I like that too. Hawk.
I give this one a solid 8.5. A huge, vast improvement over what we got in 2017. I didn't even know if I was going to like this, and within the first hour was like, I am really enjoying this. The only reason I wouldn't give it higher in that was because of Jared Leto being back in film. It's Joker. Batman perfectly encapsulated everything I felt about him in that. He's like, when I kill you, and I am gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna do it slow.
That swear was unneeded there. That just seemed like
I
was like
rating.
them like getting let's get an R rate. If we're gonna get an R rating, let's use it.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, given everything we've seen about Batfleck up till this point, intermixed
sense.
with the fact that they're in this post-apocalyptic Superman has ruined the world future. Yeah. When I kill you, and I am gonna fucking kill you. Yes, he's going to, because I think at that point Bruce is allowed to be a little salty.
fair
I would
enough.
rather just see Ben Affleck as the Red Hood.
Yes, I
That'd
also
be
agree
cool.
with you
I think it'd be pretty dope.
I think that'd be awesome.
Batfleck would be a better Jason Todd, in my opinion.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that'd be cool, especially a younger one. David, what are your guitar riffs?
I think if you take out everything to do with Batman in this movie, it's an 8. And if you leave in Batman and the Joker, it's a 6.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Still better than a 5. I'm gonna say, because I didn't like 2017, I really like what they did with these characters, and I don't like Zack Snyder in general. I thought
As
he
a
actually,
person, I think he's just,
I think he's a nice person.
an okay human being.
I didn't. So I like Man of Steel. I understand there are issues, and as a big Superman fan, I had a lot of issues with how his dad was portrayed. The whole Zod thing at the end. Like there are other ways to get through this. But like I understand where he's going. I didn't like Batman v Superman at all, and I really liked this one. I thought he actually had a vision. I feel like Batman v Superman was just a setup movie.
I
for
think
this.
he had
It
visions
was,
for all of
clearly.
them.
Yeah. But I think
They
this
just
movie
don't align with what everybody else thinks of these characters.
Yeah, and he actually, but it moved towards, at least it felt in line with what he was doing, and I'm fine with that. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 like Hawk. it's I thought it was actually like this version was edited really well. Like it didn't feel slow to
Yeah.
me.
No.
It
For a 4-hour
flowed,
movie?
the pacing was great.
It didn't feel that long. I like how they
Now-
broke it up into chapters.
Chapters was helpful too.
It was a great spot to like pause and
And
you know,
pee.
oh, we're at a new chapter. Go
Now,
grab a snack.
Here's the point that I was telling you guys that I had made earlier that I kind of talked myself into when I was discussing this with some of my other compatriots, is that I think this movie was great. I think this movie hopefully will have given the Snyder Cut fans everything they want. This film would have absolutely bombed if it was released in 2017.
Yep.
Because
4-hour film, yeah, no.
of this 4-hour film, no one was ready for that kind of a movie at that point.
No.
Even then, remember, like with Endgame, even people thought Endgame wasn't going to do as well as it was, but we had had the time to build to this.
Yeah.
In 2017, this movie would have tanked in.
I
theater.
agree. It would've.
What was Marvel doing in 2017? Captain Marvel?
No, it wasn't
No.
even Endgame at that point, was it?
They had no Endgame.
But they had like Civil War.
Civil War, I think, had just come out, and that one was pushing it for
Civil
some-
War is pretty good.
It was, but again, the other thing is Civil War had also had 8 years of
Yeah.
build at that point to get to a point where
And-
people
and
wanted
we
to
had-
see that.
5
hmm
for Justice League.
Yeah.
2017 had Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor: Ragnarok, and Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Okay,
So-
Well, two of those are really
Ragnarok
good
was
movies.
Amazing.
Ragnarok was the closest thing that we had, but nothing like Infinity
Yeah.
War and Endgame yet.
Yeah.
Which, and again, even then,
I'll go
Endgame,
bathroom. I'll be right back.
no one thought Endgame was going to be as successful as it was because, like, three plus hours. I don't know if people will sit through that.
Well,
Yeah, they will.
if you make it
So,
well
I mean,
enough,
like
we
the-
will.
Like that was the people like
Yeah.
the speculation was that
Yeah.
people might have issue with how long the movie was. I mean, this movie was great. I don't think in 2017 audiences wouldn't have been able to sit through a 4+ hour movie,
Oh no, absolutely not.
especially not with the sentiment coming off Batman v Superman, where everyone was like, people either really liked it or really hated it. They were like, a 4-hour movie with the Justice League? Fuck no. Which is
I do feel like this movie, if it had been him from the get-go, it could have been condensed into a good 2.5, 2:45 movie,
I
which
don't
might
know.
have been enough to.
I
get
think
it
you
into
can
a
cut
theater.
this movie down to 3 hours by really taking away some of those full music video scenes of just Jason Momoa's hair blowing
Sure.
in the breeze.
See,
Yeah.
this is one of those things. This is what I find kind of interesting. Is I mean, part of why I think this movie succeeded as well as it has so far was because of the times we live in now. I think there's a lot of speculation, especially moving forward, that we might start seeing more things like this, where you get these epic long movies that you might get a limited theatrical for the fans that really want to see it in the theaters, but then it's out for like you get like a 3-week window where it's not, you're not trying to market it for everyone. You market
Yeah.
it for the hardcore fans, and then it hits whatever
HBO
designated
Max.
streamer.
I think that's going to depend a lot on whether or not the theaters go back to being studio owned, and that's something Disney and Warner Brothers are really pushing for. Is they just basically want to own, and if they do, then we'll see more movies in theaters, and if they don't, then we won't see. We'll see more stuff on HBO Max.
Mhm.
We'll see more stuff on Disney Plus, like we're seeing right now.
Well,
Well,
because like a
yeah.
movie like this, you could release like this movie could be released in theaters, and you'd get about 2 solid weeks of like the fans want to see the movie, and the fans that want to sit through a 4-hour movie in the theaters and have that experience. Absolutely. The casual fans or the casual viewers that aren't invested in it, you're not going to talk them into spending $25-$30 at the theater.
Here's what you
for a
do.
ticket, and then
You
sit for
release
4 hours.
part 1, 2, 3 as like the first half of this movie
Mhm.
as Justice League Part 1.
Oh, like a Deathly Hollows Part
And
1
then-
and Deathly
then-
Hollows Part
yeah,
2.
like 2.5, 3 months later. You don't wait a year or half a year. You do like a couple, just a
Yeah,
couple months
yeah.
later, where people can afford to go to the movies again
Yeah.
because they're normal people. And then they can go see. They're like, oh, well, I didn't have to wait crazy long. I had a lot of
Yeah.
time to digest that thing.
Yeah.
I know the first one was really slow, but you know what? I'm really invested. And then they go
Yeah.
see it, and then they make their money.
So what's interesting about this is that HBO Max, like their big experiment was to release these theatrical films on the platform, right? And they're like,
Yeah.
for this to be worth it, especially with the Zack Snyder reshoots and doing all the CG and getting Junkie XL to come back, and they paid all these people obviously to do all this work. They had to get a certain amount of new HBO Max subscribers, and they
Right.
surpassed it. Like they paid for Justice League
course they
already,
did.
that's intense. That's
Well,
fucking
did they?
crazy.
Is there a free trial?
No, If not, that was
No.
the fun
Well,
part.
then yeah, they did it. Okay, good for
Yeah.
them.
So
Because HBO Max had kind of they'd been talking about it for so long. They gave people warning. They gave people warning like 3 months ago that
Yep.
HBO Max, it's going to get Justice League, but so subscribe. I think they had a trial price where it was less expensive than normal.
It was a
If
trial
you
price
find
last month when Tom and Jerry came out, but they're releasing a new film every month, if not one or two. So
Yeah.
like that's a really good deal for them, and the fact that it's already paying for itself is crazy.
Now, that being
yeah.
said, hopefully they won't have the same server issues they had as they did when
They broke.
There was
They
a
broke this.
cascade failure on this movie.
Which is crazy.
Well, but shouldn't have been surprising because you have a movie that so many people wanted to see at 4 hours long. Like, yes, you're going to have a cascading server failure.
My favorite were the Twitter people who were like, "Why are the sides cut off?"
Yeah.
That
I told you.
I know.
You gotta reboot.
People don't look.
The first
They
thing
don't
I
watch
heard
the
out of
first 5
everybody.
minutes.
Yeah. All right. So I know we make a lot of dick and fart jokes on this show because it's us, but let's get a little bit. I'm gonna get a little serious at the end of this because there are two really powerful moments in the films, and they're really just fleeting moments. The first one was the billboard promoting the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and then there was a title card at the end of the film that simply said "For Autumn." Zack Snyder originally left the film, unfortunately, due to the death of his daughter. So these two moments were very meaningful. They're very impactful. So for those in the U.S., you can find resources at afsp.org, or you can call 1-800-273-8255 if you need to talk to someone. If you need any resources, go to that website. And for people in Canada, you can head over to crisisservicescanada.ca or call 1-833-456-4566. Just like the billboard in Justice League says, you are not alone. So take those to heart. There's so many numbers, so there's a lot of resources online. And if you ever have questions, I'm sure you can reach out to any of us on social media, and we will point you towards the right direction. So we brought it down at the end, but it was an important thing to say. And I just wanted to thank Matt, Hawk, David, and Shouse for coming on and talking about Justice League. Not as long as the film, but almost as long as the theatrical one. It's always a pleasure to come on and talk about nerdy stuff with you guys. And thank you all out there on the internet for coming and listening to us, either live on Twitch or on the podcasting platform of your choice. We are everywhere. I have updated our website, so geekswithkids.ca is looking new and mobile friendly and all that stuff. So definitely go on over there. Our pictures are up there at the bottom now. I don't have bios, but I will have them there. So definitely go and check that out. I'm going to try and move a bunch of our blog posts from the old site onto this one. We'll see how long that takes. We'll see. Yeah. Anyways, thanks again for coming. Thank you all for joining me. We shall talk about something new and nerdy next week or in 2 weeks, but we'll see you then. Thanks. Have a good night. Goodbye.
Good Friday.
Bye.
Good Friday. Bye.
Well, that's it for us this week on Geeks with Kids. If you want to get a hold of us, you can send us an email at podcast@geekswithkids.ca. And don't forget to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/geekswithkids. Follow us on Twitter at geekswithkidscn. Check out our pics on Instagram at geekswithkids. And you can find all of this good stuff on our website at www.geekswithkids.ca. So if you like what you hear, why don't you hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. This podcast can be found on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, and your favorite podcasting app. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.